Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you're all having a good day. In today's episode, we're going to go on a bit of an adventure. We're going to leave the dripstone cave behind. For now, we are going to be returning to this project, of course, but I decided that we're going to take a look at some advancements today, specifically a few advancements involving the Nether. And we're going to tackle a couple of the more basic ones, but we are going to aim to get full netherite armor in this episode, mainly because it is an advancement, but also because getting hold of a bit more netherite will allow us to equip our sword, our axe, and our shovel with netherite tier, and that will allow us to use those tools for a little bit longer. It also means that they won't end up burning in lava if we end up throwing them in lava for whatever reason, but considering I only have netherite boots and 2 netherite tools right here, we are lacking in netherite, so we're going to need at least 20 blocks of ancient debris if we want to make enough netherite ingots to turn our helmet, our leggings, and the remaining 3 tools here into netherite as well. Unfortunately, we cannot have a netherite bow. That is one thing we can't have. But I figured while we were in the nether, we could touch on a couple of other concepts, like one more thing we can use netherite for, which is a lodestone. Now, if we get lucky and we encounter a bastion, then we could potentially find a lodestone in a loot chest there. We can also maybe take a look at respawn anchors while we're there, but there are a few other things in this nether advancements panel, like, for example, bringing a gust to the overworld from the nether and then killing it, and summoning the wither, which are going to be episodes all by themselves, just because they are slightly more advanced challenges. And I think this one here for taking a strider on a ride in a lava lake in the overworld is probably also going to have to wait for its own episode. But I think I've seen a couple of locations where there are large enough lava lakes we could give that a try in future. For now, we're going to be focusing on netherite. And I think we're probably going to take this opportunity to raid another Piglin bastion if we can find one, because I think the bastions are going to be fun to locate. I think they're going to be interesting sources of netherite, and rather than just going and mining out the lower levels of the nether, I think it's going to be more fun if we go out and find a bastion. So I'm going to make sure I have my gold helmet on me, which I do. I'm going to put my coral shulker box in there. We're going to go in with the equipment that we've got with me right now, although we'll probably swap this water bucket for a bucket of lava a bit later. I reckon we're pretty well kitted out. Let's go and find ourselves a Piglin bastion. Now, we know where one bastion is, which is in a warped forest to the north of here, the housing bastion that we already raided. But I think we can probably spend a bit of time flying around the nether in this direction, now that we've got a decent amount of fireworks on us. And is this one of the portals to the other strongholds? I have a feeling that it is. Yep, definitely is, and with a fresh supply of zombified piglins because they wandered on through to the overworld from the nether. Well, I didn't realize I'd been this close to actually have this be an active portal for the piglins to wander on through, but I guess at some point I did. Well, once again, onwards and outwards, we're going to be searching a little further south in the nether, and honestly, if you're a confident flyer, this is really the way to be exploring the nether once you have fireworks and elytra. You'll know for a fact that you're loading in new terrain when you encounter lava falling from the ceiling like this, because that's the first time this lava has been loaded in, and so it's going to be falling from the ceiling from whatever lava source it spawns in, and that's a pretty certain guarantee that the lava has never been loaded in before. We've got a couple of ruined nether portals around the place, so I might take a bit of the obsidian, and maybe we can end up doing the subspace bubble advancement as well for traveling 7 kilometers in the overworld via the nether, which really only requires us to get just under 1,000 blocks out from the portal that we first entered the nether by, and I think we're going to grab a bit of obsidian. We might as well take some of this stuff with us, bring the flint and steel too, and see if we can do that. The leggings, though, those can go in the lava. Of course, if we're looking for a Piglin bastion, we're primarily going to be looking in biomes other than basalt deltas, because basalt deltas cannot be chosen as a starting point for a Piglin bastion. A bastion can overlap with a basalt delta, but since they are made out of such similar blocks, since the basalt delta has a lot of blackstone and stuff in it, and that's what Piglin bastions are made of, here we go, here is one. Bastions also have basalt in the surroundings here. You typically don't find them in basalt deltas simply because they blend in too much, and the game tries not to generate them there. Now, of course, this bastion does have its fair share of Piglin brutes, like the other ones that we've raided in the past, so I think I'm going to briefly swoop down to the lava lake and replace our water bucket with a bucket of lava that's going to help us take on the Piglin brutes as they come up. This seems like a nice safe spot to do that by. Let's grab one lava bucket and we'll head on up. Now, this bastion looks different to the types of bastions we have encountered before, and if I can get a good shot of it from a different angle, I will explain why. Let's grab a few more blocks of netherrack from the surroundings just so we have a bit of bridging and pillaring material. And unfortunately, it's kind of difficult to see this bastion from any different angles. It's kind of embedded in the netherrack here. But I am fairly confident that this bastion is a bridge bastion. You can usually tell these from the fact that there are large amounts of lava sources pouring in from multiple sides of one of these structures. First of all, I believe we have a Piglin brute over here. Yep, looks like he's going to get mad at me, so let's see if we can pillar up and deal with him. Quick lava bucket on the ground there, and yep, he's burning nice and easily. Don't want to aggro the local piglins by attacking this guy outright, so we'll just let him burn up in the lava. And yes, this does look like a bridge. You'll see there on the left hand and the right hand sides, there are lava falls basically falling inwards onto this section, and as we explore that, you'll find that there are a couple of landmarks that we're on the lookout for. But these are also the places where one of the loot chests can contain a lodestone, one of the goals of this episode. So we're going to wander our way in nice and slowly, keeping an eye on anywhere there might be another piglin brute, and I think we'll probably block ourselves into this area with the chest so that the local piglins don't get mad at me for opening it. Yes, there is one in here. Fantastic. So we don't have to spend another ingot of netherite on that. A lodestone is a very, very useful block, which looks very cool for now, but we'll explain its actual functionality once we're safely away from this bastion. For now, it's worth noting that bridge bastions look a little bit different from the other styles of bastion. They have a large open area on the top, which isn't like your standard ramparts section of a bastion. There is a loot chest on the right hand side. There should also be one somewhere over here on the left, but they don't have the areas of double chests, as far as I'm aware, that the other bastions have in the section I think of as the ramparts. Yep, I can see one right down there. So these bastions kind of have these little alcove rooms where you'll find the loot chests, instead of them being out in the open on the top part of the ramparts. It sounds like there's a piglin brute around here somewhere though, so I'm going to have to play this a little bit safe. And if all else fails, we will just block this area off or pillar up. In fact, I think we can probably block this part off here like so, and hopefully, if there's a piglin brute around here, he won't be able to get in while we pillage the contents of this chest. And it looks like we got some diamond tools. We got a smite 4 axe, which might be good against the zombie piglins, but is nothing really all that interesting to me. And we've got some iron ingots and stuff as well. I'll probably leave most of these in a chest somewhere since we don't especially need them. Let's see, where is our friend the brute? I always get a little bit nervous around these guys since I know they can pack a bit of a punch. He's certainly angry, which means I think that he's seen me. Oh, I see him. He's right down there underneath that block. So maybe if we can place the lava right there, yeah, looks like we can take care of him nice and easily. We'll take a quick dip down here to see if there's anything else down here as the lava recedes into the distance. No, that looks like it leads down into the foundation, which is going to be pretty similar to the foundations of the other bastions. There's vaults of gold blocks down there and that kind of stuff if you feel like digging those up to trade with the piglins. We're going to be doing some piglin bartering in a future episode, which maybe this week, may not be, but I think it's going to be worthwhile because these folks have some really interesting resources to trade and stuff we can't get renewably any other way. This section here, though, is really the point you want to be looking out for in a bastion like this, because it does have a couple of hoglins in it, so we'll need to take care of them right away. Much like the piglin brutes, lava will take care of them nice and easily, though, and as long as there aren't any other brutes around, we should be able to make our way through this area with the broken up bridge area of the bastion that gives this structure its name. And further down the bridge, we should find one of these. Yes, this is a little boar's head statue made out of solid gold blocks. And so in addition to the structure in the foundation having a vault full of gold blocks, this is one of the coolest things you can score from these bastions when it comes to gathering some quick resources to barter with the piglins. My preferred way of taking care of these is to build up a bit of a barrier around the outside here, because that way the piglins won't be able to get to you, even if the bastion is open to the terrain of the nether around here, like so. And the piglins will get mad at you as soon as you break one of these blocks, because breaking blocks near piglins is different to opening chests or anything like that. They will be able to hear you breaking these blocks regardless of whether or not they can see you doing it. So the barrier I've built around the outside here is nothing to do with blocking their line of sight. It's much more about just preventing them from getting to me to attack me. But I've just come away with 16 blocks of gold, and once I step out of the side here, the piglins are still going to be a little bit mad at me inside of there, but their aggro should cool down after about 30 seconds or so, and the next batch of piglins I encounter, we can probably trade them a whole bunch of gold. Yeah, there we go. I think we got away with it. And while we didn't get absolutely everything we wanted out of this bastion, we have got ourselves a lodestone, which is perfect for what I wanted to cover later in the video. Bordering a soul sand valley here, so there's a lot of ghasts around. I'm doing my best to take them out while I can, and I need to make sure that I've got enough fireworks for the return trips, so let's not waste any of those. This bastion, by the way, is 1,000 blocks out here in the south part of the Nether, which means we would travel about 8,000 blocks south in the overworld if we made a portal here, which might just get us that advancement. But unfortunately, I don't have enough obsidian for the Nether portal. I could have taken some down out of those ruined Nether portals, but I think we're probably going to press on and we'll look at Subspace Bubble another time. I'm kind of in the mood to track down another one of the Piglin bastions. Since that one didn't give us any netherite or ancient debris as loot, I think we could probably locate another bastion if we can. And so the warped forest here could find us another bastion. We are also on the lookout for other nether fortresses, and it looks like one is swimming into view right about now. This one here is actually an interesting prospect for mob spawning because it's on the edge of one of the warped forests, and as you can see, this fortress is absolutely teeming with mobs due to the fact that the warped forest will only spawn endermen, and it only spawns them very occasionally. So this is going to be an ideal place to come back and build a farm for Nether Fortress mobs. Just look at the number of wither skeletons marching around here on the battlements. I think we're going to do a really cool farm here, so I'll take the coordinates of that. It's really not that far away from spawn, and we will come back another time. Well, from where I'm standing, this looks like a pretty typical bastion rampart. Let's see what we've got in the nearby area. Is this going to be another housing bastion? It certainly looks like one. Yes, patch of netherwart in the center of this, definitely a housing bastion. Well, this is one we've encountered before, so I won't dwell on it for too long. However, the upper level of the ramparts here has a couple of loot chests that would be a pretty decent thing to swipe if we could. Of course, there are a few piglin brutes around that are going to make that harder for us. But once a couple of them spot me, all I should need to do is lure them down here and pour a bucket of lava over them, at which point it's going to be nice, easy pickings inside of this bastion. It seems like the only remaining piglins around here are zombified ones, so I'll just open this up and see. Yep, there we go. We got one more ancient debris out of that. A ton of gilded blackstone. We'll even grab some crying obsidian while we're here, because we'll need that for something that we're going to do later. Most of the rest of this we can probably just leave in there. I don't really need the arrows or the gold helmet or anything like that. Another piglin brute has just hopped up over there, but doesn't look like he's seen me yet, so maybe we can swipe whatever's in here. Yes, another ancient debris, a little bit more gold, and some iron. I think we'll probably be good with that. And not a moment too soon, because a ghast is attacking us from the nearby basalt delta, and oh, the fireball drifted on through it. I was hoping to get a casual return to sender, but never mind. I've already got the advancement. It's always just a fun trick shot to pull off. All right, let's kill the bridge. Going over here, we'll keep the rest of that netherrack there so it's clear that we've been to this one. There is one more chest down there in the center of the housing bastion, which I might try and get hold of, because I have a feeling that might have some useful loot in it, being right there in the center of this. We'll take a quick look around in case there's any other chests inside of here. They're usually in the areas with the lanterns, but I mostly see a couple of blocks of gold, not really that much else in the way of chests here. There we go. Let's walk into the center of this one, draw out that one piglin brute who's hiding over there, pour another bucket of lava on him, and oh, he brought a friend. Okay, well, they can both die too. Oh, there is a chest inside of there. Fantastic. We'll go for that one first while the lava around this is dissipating. All right, well, I don't hear any more piglin brutes, so let's open this up. Oh, a bunch of gilded blackstone, and I don't mind the other stuff either. Let's break down the iron block into ingots, seeing as we've got a handful of those in our inventory already, and let's hop on down to take a look at this chest now. I think we're out of eye shot of most of the other piglins. Let's open this up, and a couple more gilded blackstone, but no more netherite. That's unfortunate. Soul speed, though. Haven't really talked about that yet. We might as well grab that. All in all, pretty successful heist. None of the other piglins were alerted, and I think it's probably time to make our way out of here. I'm going to pick a spot, probably over here in this warped forest, to throw down my ender chest and stash a bunch of this loot in it, because if I do that around here and a piglin sees me opening my ender chest or my shulker boxes, he's going to get mad at me, and I don't really want that. So I think maybe I'll pick a spot up here on top of one of these warped trees where I know the only things around are endermen before I decide to open this up and throw a bunch of stuff in one of my spare shulker boxes. I think the one with all the obsidian in seems like the most likely candidate. I guess I did bring a bunch of obsidian with me now that I think about it, but let's at least throw all of the loot in here so that we don't end up losing that if worst comes to worst and we end up perishing out here. Now let's throw that back in the ender chest. Let's make sure we are doing that with silk touch And let's see if we can find one more bastion for the road. Another Nether Fortress here, this one on the cross-section of a basalt delta and a soul sand valley, so potentially a pretty valuable spot, and a couple of blaze spawners up here on the surface, it looks like, although the local blazes are taking pot shots at me. Still no sign of some of the larger bastion types that we haven't encountered yet, though, and typically where you find a Nether Fortress, you won't find a bastion within a certain radius. The Nether usually decides to pick one or the other when it's choosing which structure to generate, so chances are we're not going to see a bastion around here. Let's look a little further afield. Okay, now we actually have an opportunity to look at that bridge bastion in more detail, because I found another one. Now it's, once again, the top part of it is partly obscured in the soul sand above, but you can kind of see the bridge sticking out the side of here. There is that statue made out of gold blocks at the top, that little boar statue, and further up, once again, we should have even the opportunity to find ourselves a couple more pieces of ancient debris, or maybe even another lodestone. And it seems like this one, now that I've taken care of some of the piglin brutes, does actually have more of a ramparts section. So maybe I was wrong about these before, but it seems like this one is, yeah, it's a different type of ramparts section where there's a couple of chests on this side, and then presumably on the other side of there, it's going to be flipped, and we're going to find a chest with a lodestone on that side instead. Let's take a look at what we've got in here. Once again, a few more blocks of obsidian, another diamond shovel. They really like their diamond shovels in these structures, and some more gilded blackstone. Bit of a top up on the golden carrots as well, and soul speed 1. There isn't a great deal of this especially worth taking, but I will bring the stuff with me that I've been bringing so far, just for the sake of consistency. We'll leave the magma cream and everything else. We'll sort that out later. Let's see if we can draw out another one of those piglin brutes who I can hear hiding around here. There's a couple of skeletons around here as well, because this is a soul sand valley, and there, right there, is our other piglin brute. Okay, just got out of his way in time. Let's see if we can pour the lava on him as before, and oh, that was a closer call than we've had previously. Let's take out that skeleton as well for being his assistant. There we go. And once the lava dissipates from around here, we can go in and see if we can raid that chest. Yeah, a couple of regular piglins around here, but once again, we can block them off from seeing us looting this chest, and it looks like there aren't any piglin brutes going to get in the way this time. So if we give this chest a try, once again, another lodestone. So the lodestone in this chest is pretty consistent. You can more or less always find it if you end up finding one of these bridge bastions. And since this was a bridge bastion, that's really the set of chests that we want to be raiding. The other loot is really just the gold blocks that are out there on the bridge section. So unfortunately, I have not really been able to find one of the larger bastions that I was hoping to get a bunch more netherite from, but at the very least we have a couple of lodestones and a bit of ancient debris. So I'm going to cut my losses here, head out to the desert and execute plan B for finding netherite, which is to craft a bunch of TNT and do a bit more blast mining below the surface of the lava lakes. Or alternatively, I could just come across a wall of black stone right away. So it looks like we have run into the bastion I was looking for, and it's completely encased in the netherrack on this side at least, so that's probably why I didn't see this one beforehand. Once again, I'm going to throw down an ender chest and pack away all of the loot that I've got so far, because this is going to be a more dangerous environment than we have hitherto encountered in this series in general, much less here in the nether. But from up here, you wouldn't even know that there was a bastion in there at all, because it's kind of completely encased in the netherrack of this crimson forest. Minecraft is not making it easy for me to show you exactly what is going on here, so I'll try and dig through to the inside of it from a little higher up so we can see what's going on. But this is a treasure bastion. Digging into the netherrack, we've ended up with a patch of blackstone here, and this looks like we might be able to get down into the bastion from here, but there are going to be piglin brutes around us, so we got to be a little bit careful about where we tread here, because I'm hearing a couple of them already. Regular piglins are fine, we don't need to worry about them as much, but these are massive structures, and a piglin brute in here could be a recipe for disaster, especially since we don't really have a way of escaping out the top of the structure right now. Let's keep an eye on this area. I'm doing my best to stay cautious around here, because there are a couple of piglin brutes on the levels further down, but I do not think they can get to me right now. At least we can get the attention of this one, and if he's underneath us there, we can pour a bucket of lava on him, and that seems like a sensible play at this stage. Okay, that's one Piglin brute down. Let's see if we can take out any of the others. Down there is really where we want to be, but it's also not where we want to be. And I'll explain a little bit as we walk around here. So treasure bastions all have an outside. They have an entrance that's kind of over there, and if we can get out there, you'll see one of the rampart sections that we're used to from some of the other bastions. The large, boxy structure, the chests up on the ramparts, it has all of that stuff over on the opposite side. The area we have dug our way into is more or less a giant cube affixed to the outside of that by a bridge. The bridge will have 2 gold blocks out there in the open, and this is a giant room with a lake of lava in the center at the bottom of it. There is a bridge running across the section there, and in the middle, underneath that bridge, is probably some of the best loot that can be found in a Minecraft structure, at least one in the Nether. I think we do have another Piglin brute down here below us, who we should hopefully be able to lure into a lava trap. Yep, there we go. Let's see if we can pour some lava on you while you're standing on down there. But as I was saying, out here on this bridge, we have a couple of gold blocks, and we have this whole section completely enclosed in netherrack. There are trays of lava down there below us, and I believe that drop down there leads to even more lava, so this is pretty terrifying right now without a fire resistance potion. Naturally, if we step into the ramparts of this bastion, we might encounter a couple more Piglin brutes, but we're also going to find the chests and whatnot that we usually find in these sections of the structures. Yes, there's a couple in here, and there aren't really any piglins guarding it right now because there's a lava fall coming from directly above. So I think if we block off these stairs, we should be able to raid these chests without any real harm being done. And we got a bunch more gilded blackstone there, a bit more gold, a bit more iron, the usual kind of stuff now. But back across here inside the main structure, the bottom of this area is really where we want to be. And there are staircases around the perimeter of the structure that will take us down to a couple of lower levels, but the whole thing is really meant to have fallen into disrepair, hence Bastion Remnant, and so it's a little bit tricky to find your way down here without taking a couple of drops down through the levels. Which you can do, of course, but then you find yourselves faced with guys like this, who I would much rather take on from above. We got one more chest around here. There's a Piglin brute just down there, who I might try and pour some lava on before he really spots me, but I should at least be able to open this up, and we got another snout banner pattern out of that, which is not a bad haul. There is one more brute that I can see over there on that side, and the rest of them are keeping quiet for now. Oh, we got one right here. We got one right here. Okay, he can't get to me where he is, so we should just be able to pour lava on him and take him out the easy way. And yeah, everywhere I look, every single level has another Piglin brute on it, so they are really numerous in these structures. But there's a good reason for it, because as you can see down there, that's where they keep all of their gold blocks and other things besides. That's one more brute for the lava bucket treatment. And if I'm careful about it, I think I might be able to hop on down here, because I believe there was another brute over here on this side. Yep, there he is. I'll try and get myself into a corner so we can pour lava on him. I think our last mark in the place is that brute right there. If we can take care of him, we have the run of this place without the other piglins really catching on that we're taking anything. So we'll try and get him to run across this bridge at us, and that's the other thing we need to worry about. Underneath there, down there. Oh, and there's another brute over there on the right-hand side. Okay, well, let's at least get the attention of this fella. But as you can hear from below us, there is a bit of a problem. Let's get back into my corner here where we can pillar up and safely take care of this Piglin brute. The other one down here on the right-hand side is not going to be a concern either. We've dealt with the other ones easily enough. But the magma cubes have started spawning down here, because let's see if we can get a better angle on this, probably from over here on this side. Underneath this bridge, there is a spawner, and it's unlike any of the spawners that we will find in the overworld, because that spawner, once you get close enough, spawns magma cubes. And this is why I've been ignoring a lot of the magma cream that appears in the Bastion chests around here, because these magma cubes can be farmed from that spawner, and the spawner itself is going to be a pretty decent source of magma cream once we're able to harness that. Part of the reason I wanted to look for one of these structures in the first place is so we can make a magma cream farm at some point in future using that spawner. It's also, as it stands, a pretty decent source of XP, but as of right now, it is a major obstacle in us raiding that room at the back there. And so that's why a lot of the time, people won't really bother with the magma cube spawner. They will probably just get the run of the place, they'll destroy the magma cube spawner, and they won't think anything of it. In this case, though, I kind of want to come back and deal with that. And is that 2 Piglin brutes down here? I have a feeling there's 2. Yeah, I think we just killed 2 Piglin brutes with 1 bucket of lava. That's not too bad. Well, Well, it looks like the Magma Cube Spawner is spinning up right here, so we need to get a little further away, and we need to make sure we have enough blocks to block off the treasure room down there, because we're really going to make a bridge out to that, get the loot from the chest, and try and get out of here without dying to all of these magma cubes. So on the opposite end of the bridge from the spawner, we're going to try and make ourselves a nice easy staircase down, so we can at least get to the level of that lava lake in the first place. Over here on the corners, there are a couple of staircases which lead down to the lava lake level of this structure, but there isn't really an easy way from this side, so we are going to have to bridge out using some of the blocks from the bastion around us. And this is why we take out all of the piglin brutes first, because at this point the rest of the piglins are going to leave us alone, and we don't have a chance of anything sneaking up on us while we raid this treasure room. Now let's take out a couple of the magma cubes that are going to be of most concern, namely the larger ones. We should be able to just bridge out here using a couple of these blocks. We'll get into the treasure room, and we're going to immediately block up all of the walls around here. So let's give this a go. Naturally, the gold blocks can form part of the walls, so that's not going to be a problem, but the main thing we need to do is make sure we block off any areas where large magma cubes could potentially hit us from, because they will be spawning in quite large numbers if we're not a little bit more careful here. You also need to worry about the fact that the floor here is made out of walls, and so sneak around on top of those if you can, because if you're not holding sneak on top of these, it is possible for you to fall down through the gaps in the center of those four walls as they're arranged right now. In my case, I'm actually going to take those walls out because I'm so paranoid about that eventuality that I'm just going to cover the whole thing up with netherrack. And with the ceiling all boxed in as well, it is safe for us to take out any of the blocks in here without getting the piglins mad at us. We can also raid this chest, where you will find a couple of very exciting pieces of loot. First of all, we've got a sharpness 5 diamond sword. That's incredible. Probably some of the best loot we've encountered so far, including the end city loot. We have an unenchanted diamond chestplate, which we'll absolutely take, and we have one fully processed netherite ingot ready to be applied to any of our tools or armor. That is our jackpot, folks. That is absolutely what we're taking home. Now, naturally, once we start breaking up some of the gold blocks in here, that's going to draw the aggro of any of the piglins that are still present in the surrounding environment. So we want to be a little bit careful about when we do that. We also want to be careful about whether or not these gold blocks comprise some of the walls of this structure, because in this case, we probably want to, yep, there we go, big magma cube right outside. We want to make sure we have some blocks that we can use to replace those gold blocks in the walls. Otherwise, these magma cubes might be able to sneak in and attack us. Now, you might be thinking, why not just light up the magma cube spawner? Why leave it spawning mobs at all when we could just disable it like we do with the ones in the overworld? And unfortunately, it's not all that simple, because magma cubes will spawn at any light level, so the lava down here that should absolutely be preventing that spawner from spawning anything is not going to make a shred of difference to the amount of magma cubes spawning in this area. Now, naturally, we are done raiding this room, and the piglin aggro should have worn off, so we just need to make a break for it, really. We just need to run back over to the shore here, take a look around to see if enough magma cubes have spawned that we need to take care of them, but the priority is getting back onto solid ground and not being surrounded by all of that lava. And that, ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, is how you raid a treasure bastion, or one way of doing it anyway. But we are keeping that spawner alive, and we are taking the coordinates of this bastion, because we will be back at some stage to turn that into a magma cream, magma cube farm, and oh boy, am I looking forward to that. In the meantime, safe in the knowledge that we've disposed of any troublesome piglin brutes that were around here, we should be able to just hop our way back up through the bastion, taking care of areas like this, where there are some fires burning directly below this chimney sort of area, and there are a couple of pockets around the walls where there are sources of lava. So bear in mind that if you're pillaring back up hugging one of those side walls, there are these little lava dishes, lava trays on the side here, and you need to be wary about where each of those is, because you don't want to be digging straight up to find one of those falling in on your heads. Looks like there is a chest over there that I don't think we have raided yet, so with the piglin brutes out of the way, I might give this one a go as well. Quickly check around for other piglins, but it seems like we're fine. Oh, absolutely worth it. Another piece of netherite scrap and some more gold to combine it with. Okie dokie. Well, I'll be honest, this bastion came out of nowhere at a time when I didn't think we were going to have another bastion to raid, but I'm glad we did, because this has been a pretty comprehensive episode as far as raiding bastions goes. We still haven't found the Hoglin Stables bastion, the one remaining type that we need to raid, but we'll handle that another time. I think we've had enough excitement for one day, and raiding these bastions for a little bit more netherite is, frankly, pretty rewarding in itself. Now, if only I could find the spot where I actually came into this place, I'd probably be a lot happier. I think it's up there where I left a couple of torches. So let's dig our way up into the side of here. Let's make our way out and let's fly off into the atmosphere of the Nether, declaring ourselves the winners. That's not too bad. I can't believe we found that treasure bastion so buried in the netherrack. That was such a lucky find on the way back after I'd basically given up all hope. But now I think it's probably time to head back to the overworld, because I promised you folks a demonstration of what a lodestone does, and we have a bunch of equipment due for an upgrade to netherite. Well, in the end, this more or less was our haul from each of those bastions, give or take the ender chests and, you know, the gunpowder, some of the obsidian I had in here already, but the majority of this is all from the bastions and occasional ghast attacks. We have got a couple of lodestones, we've got a bunch of iron and stuff here as well, 1 netherite ingot, and only 2 debris and 1 scrap, which isn't enough for another full netherite ingot, unfortunately. But the lodestones are really one of the main things I wanted to talk about, so let's grab ourselves a compass if we can find one of those around here somewhere, or failing that we can just make a couple. So you're all familiar with what a compass does at this point. The needle points basically directly towards spawn. This is the point that the compass will always point to, the spawn block from which our position is calculated if we end up dying and respawning without a spawn set somewhere else using a bed. And what a lodestone does, aside from being a real fancy block, is give us a landmark that a compass can point to. If we attune the compass to the lodestone by right-clicking on it with the compass, we get an advancement for that, and now the compass no longer points towards our spawn block, it points to the lodestone, and the lodestone becomes the new center of this compass's world. If we end up breaking this lodestone now, the compass will start to spin wildly, kind of like how compasses work in the Nether. It's attuned to something that no longer exists, we've removed it from the world, this compass won't even point to spawn anymore, it'll just spin wildly. In order to stop it spinning round and round like this, we can simply put down a lodestone and attune it once again, and the compass will lock onto the lodestone. You don't have to worry about durability on the compass or anything like that, you can do this basically as many times as you like. And the coolest part about this is that this functionality is not just limited to the overworld. So despite the fact that compasses will spin wildly in the Nether, as you can see these two are doing the googly eyes thing in my hotbar right now, because there is no official spawn point in the Nether, so there's no way for the compass to know which way it should be pointing. We can lock it onto a lodestone, let's say right here at the center of our Nether hub, and the compass will always point to this area, making it possible to navigate in the Nether without the use of things like coordinates, which are really here as a debug function and aren't really all that good for immersion. If we wanted to find our way back to that treasure bastion, we could have put a lodestone down there and attuned a compass to it, and that way we could just follow the lodestone compass to get back there in the Nether, instead of messing around with the coordinates. If we didn't want to rely on coordinates to find our dripstone cave base once we'd been flying around in the overworld, and if I didn't know the lay of the land, I could simply place a lodestone somewhere in here, attune the compass to it, and this would always point to the entrance of our dripstone cave base, so I could always find my way back here if I wanted to. And naturally on things like multiplayer servers, if you wanted to give somebody a treasure hunt, you could always hide a lodestone compass somewhere that when they found it would give them the location of the next step on the treasure hunt, or maybe even the treasure itself. The fact that they glow like they're enchanted makes lodestone compasses look pretty recognizably different from the regular compass, so they're kind of a neat thing to play around with. And not only that, but it is possible to make another lodestone. If I put some stone or stone brick into the stone cutter, it gives me the option to turn it into chiseled stone bricks, which can actually be made using stone brick slabs if you just carve up 2 of those and put them in your crafting table like this. You end up with chiseled stone bricks as a result, and we can turn the remainder of these stone bricks into those as well. 8 of those around a netherite ingot in your crafting interface will get you another lodestone. And that's not what we're going to use this netherite ingot for, don't worry, I have a bunch of stuff I want to upgrade to netherite, so we're not going to do that right away. But that is another way that you can craft more lodestones instead of just relying on finding them in bridge bastions. You'll notice that when I step through to the Nether, even though this lodestone compass is attuned to a location in the overworld, once again the compass starts spinning wildly, because there's no way of it knowing when you're in the Nether dimension where that area is where the lodestone compass is fixed. But then when we step on back through to the overworld, the compass will swing around and it'll point in the direction of the area where the lodestone compass is, even if the lodestone is not within loaded chunks, meaning we can always point the way back to our dripstone cave from here. This compass will show us the way. Now at last, it's time to see what we're going to upgrade to our next piece of netherite equipment, and this one I think is a no-brainer. We're going to upgrade the sword. The sword gets a really decent boost from the upgrade to netherite. It's going to have 1 extra point of attack damage, and it's going to be the same attack speed, but of course, a netherite sword is always going to be a nice thing to have in your toolkit, and it's going to last for a heck of a lot longer, similar to the durability on a netherite pickaxe. We have a little bit more mining and a little more smelting to do if we're going to pick up a bit more netherite to convert the remainder of my gear, but for now I think I'm happy just having raided a few more bastions and being able to demonstrate the lodestone for that advancement. That is where we're going to leave it for this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care. Bye for now.